All right, once again, I'm going to answer every single question in this pro wrestling question thread that I posted right here at WrestleJuice, all 149. A little tip for you, though. I try my damnedest not to do repeat offenders. So if somebody asked a question and then they asked another one, I'm not going to do the other one. So one per viewer, one per poster. And for those of you who are asking, where's the thread? If you make sure that you're sub to the channel, you hit the notify bell, it should notify you when a new question thread goes up. Sometimes these notifications come in like a day later or 2 days later. I can't do anything about that. So maybe just keep your eyes peeled for the question threads here on the channel. I try to get one of these a week done. I used to have the little graphic with the TV with the question on it, but I was only answering like a couple of them. You guys seem to like to enjoy this longer form content. So at the very least, I will give you this. First up, the Scots says, who should start using the end of days as a new finisher? How about Obafemi? I think right now he's got like a power bomb, like a sit out power bomb or something like that. I think. I don't know. I don't really pay attention to NXT that much. But yeah. End of days, I think, would go perfect with Obafemi. Next up, let's see here. Here we go. I think it's Kenny Johnson. It's Kenny Johnson. It says, what are your thoughts on this idea I've had for a while? Eliminations can occur in a multi-person ladder match, pinfall, or submission. You don't win that way, but you can thin out the herd even down to the last two. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I like elimination matches. I actually really like elimination matches. Like triple threats, I think should all be, what do they call them? Three-way dances. I'm cool with that. I really like eliminations. DJ Como says, with Speed possibly canceled, what show would you like brought back? Mixed Match Challenge, 205 Live, something new. I don't need 205 Live back, but I think a Cruiserweight or X Division type title would be really cool. In the WWE, just something for really cool, innovative wrestling, I think would be neat. Like Fraxium. Those two dudes should be in that particular division. I was a fan of the Mixed Match Challenge. Crap, now my cat wants out. Yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed the Mixed Match Challenge. I think that's the key right there. Something where it allows the wrestlers to be a little bit more loose, to be a little bit, as we've seen with Charlotte Flair lately, when you inject some of the real life personality of some of these wrestlers into the characters, I think it really makes them more relatable. And the Mixed Match Challenge really did a good job with that. So I would say something, not necessarily the Mixed Match Challenge, although that was fun, something along those lines that lets them loosen up a little bit. And I don't know what that would be, but I think that'd be cool. Jay Rain says, who would you like to see AJ Styles wrestle for his last match? It'd be cool if they can get Samoa Joe. That'd be neat. Otherwise, I'll say Nathan Frazier. Star-Lord Juan says, what wrestling faction in history would Steve here join? Oh, I would definitely be... I'm trying to be realistic about this. I would probably be best suited in NWO Hollywood, right? Because if you remember, they were like the B team of the NWO. They were kind of on the low down, like on the, like Hogan didn't really hang out with those guys. They were just sort of doing their own thing. It was like Stevie Ray. I think Scott Norton was in that group. I forget who else. But I'd like to hang out with Stevie Ray. I've heard enough of his stories. He's a hell of a storyteller. He's like the most underrated shoot interview guy there is. Andrew Sharp says, wait, what is this reply? Good one. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Andrew Sharp says, similar to Brian, what moment from someone's career would shock you if they were like, yeah, it didn't really mean that much to me? Oh, man, I don't know. I wasn't really all that shocked when he said WrestleMania 30 didn't mean that much to me, because when he talked about it, he explained his reasons. And it's like, okay. What moment from someone's career would shock you if they're like, yeah, it didn't really mean that much to me? I mean, okay, I'll offer this up. If Bianca Belair said that WrestleMania Night 1 main event that she was in with Sasha didn't mean that much to her, she was like crying. So if that didn't mean that much to her and she was able to put on that performance, including the crying, oh my God, that would shock the hell out of me. W.S. Fletcher says, what would be a good themed wrestling jubilee? He says Paul Heyman and all the wrestlers he owes money to. Oh, man. Dude, I don't know. Oh, God, like Jim Cornette and like the roster of AEW. I think I might have just beat you on that one, W.S. Fletcher. Michael says favorite entrance theme that nobody ever talks or cares about. Right now it's the culling because goddamn, I love the culling. I think that's a great theme song. Paradox says, is there a match type that you'd like to see come back or used more often? I'd like to see a 3 stages of... It's crazy that Sean Spears' faction has that music. It's so good. Sorry, Paradox 3000 says, is there a match type you'd like to see come back or use more often? He says a 3-stage. Yeah, the three-way dance. Myth Trainer AC says, it's time for the PWI Top 500 to include men and women on the same list now. My only reason for saying no to this is between the PWI 500 and then the PWI women, you get more people getting exposure. So I'm fine with them doing it with 2 separate lists because by and large, they are separated by divisions. So like ideally also maybe they'd have a PWI list for tag teams. Maybe they do. I don't know. Enzo says, could a gimmick like The Undertaker, wrestler with weird superpowers, be successful today or has the time passed for that sort of thing? I think number one, there's 2 things. Number one, it's not really something that AEW does. It's not really something either that Triple H does. I think there's room for it, but like clearly, for example, they've kind of like gone away from that when it comes to like Bo Dallas, like the Wyatts. Like they did a whole thing where they murdered everybody backstage. Now that was more of like a Manson family type thing as opposed to like supernatural stuff, but then they got a contract. So I don't know, the sort of more overly theatrical stuff, I don't think Triple H really has much of a handle on it. And it'd be nice just for the sake of variety for them to try to do that. Cause I think the Bray Wyatt stuff worked great. It's just, they needed to commit to it more. Jacques Stunner says, with New Jack not only in the new WWE game, but has one of the best entrances, who else do you think Paul Heyman will get into the WWE game? I heard that, wasn't it like Nick Khan, who was like a big New Jack fan, and he was the guy who got him in there? That's what the rumor was anyways. I don't know if it was ever substantiated. In any event, who else do you think... Let's just take the Paul Heyman thing out of it. It would be interesting to get... Jeez, dude, I don't know. I mean, Sabu's been in the game, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. It'd be... You know what I would really love? A My Career mode that goes back to the 80s. Where you have like your character comes up to the AWA. What they fucking really should, boy, that'd be cool. Do like a story mode where like you're in the territories, but they actually do the territories. They actually have like you're in world in the Von Erich's territory, world class. You're there. You're in Crockett's territory. Like that would be cool. And then. Hey, WWF is coming down to make you an offer. And have them call it WWF and not WWE. I think that would be different. They do the same shit every year. This year is pretty funny. But they do the same shit every year. Dylan Moore says, favorite wrestling memory with Larson and the Enforcer. Probably that first big Action Coast Wrestling show that we did together. Boy, that was fun. I got to see if there's video about that somewhere. And we got to post it somewhere. I think there was an episode of Action Coast Wrestling Surge, I think. I can see if I can find it. But like Cal Jack was in the ring and the Enforcer was stepping to him. That was really fun. That was so much goddamn fun. We all got to act like we were like, characters and shit. That was fun. A lot of you probably haven't seen that. I'll see if I can find it. Fem Trapta says, who do you think retires first, Randy Orton or Rey Mysterio? I'm going to say Rey. My guess would be Rey. Matthew Mallon says, do you instantly whip out your phone whenever there's a Jelly Roll segment on SmackDown? Me and my brother just skip them. I got to watch it for the show. I don't mind them necessarily. It's not really my thing. I'm not really too interested in it. Talk about theatrical. That's sort of the most you're going to get from Triple H in terms of theatrical shit. The 54 Gaming says, do both Cena and Cody turn at the Summerfest? No. Broken Novocaine says, do you think WWE should have waited 2 inches? Although I do think Cena probably turns at the end. I think Cena probably turns after he loses the title. The crowd will give him a big send-off. Hey, it's the last time he's had a world title. And they're going to give him like a good reaction. And then he'll be like, oh, you love me. You really love me. And then he'll be a good guy. Broken Novocaine says, do you think WWE should have waited to introduce a second women's mid-card title? No. Lindsay Harvey says, when Bronson Reed does a tsunami, he flaps his arms like an angry bird. Does that add damage to his opponent? The thing that I really actually like about the tsunami is how quickly he does it. He just gets up there. He doesn't wait. He just launches himself. But yeah, you got to think every movement adds impact to the tsunami, including the angry bird wings. OJ the Black says, how far does WWE have to push LA Knight and Karrion Kross for fans to be satisfied if they're not going to be in the world title picture anytime soon? LA Knight needs to be a world champion for the fans to be satisfied. They love him. They love him. He will get drafted to Raw. He will be champion by the end of 2026. Not the Cody title. He'll get the Gunther title, though. I think that'll happen. That has to happen, man. Kross is a different situation. If Kross even smells gold in any way, shape, or form, fans have to be satisfied with that. Canaldo Bruno. I don't even know if WWE is going to re-sign the guy. It bothers me that I'm off center now. There we go. Canaldo says, is Big Dog Roman the worst WrestleMania main eventer ever? Oh, man. Yeah, probably. Maybe. Probably. I'm trying to think back over. No, Sid. Probably Sid. Maybe not. Maybe it's big. God, it was so many. There were so many of them. Boy, that was such a failure on Vince's part. Jay Ralstonism says, I think Wyatt 6 is cringy and at the point of no return. What popular gimmick story do you think WWE... Do you just want WWE to stop right now with no questions asked? What a good question. What popular gimmick / story? What's popular right now that I want to... You know what I want them to stop? Drew McIntyre losing, and then he just comes back angry. And then guess what? Loses again. That's what I want them to stop doing. Death Shot Society says, have you ever had a moment where you just stopped watching wrestling entirely or at least thought about it? Yes. It was... I always attribute it to these two things, but I don't necessarily think it was them in particular or just my own sort of lack of interest. But around, I think 2006 to 2010 or so, I wasn't watching a ton. I went to WrestleMania in 2005, and then around 2006, 2007, they were introducing guys, and maybe my time doesn't line up, but I think it does. But they started to introduce people like Mr. Kennedy. And I just was like, dude, if this is going to be the kind of guy that's like main eventing WrestleManias, count me out. Cause I just didn't see it. I'm like, this dude is just a microphone. And I know a lot of people like Mr. Kennedy, and no disrespect intended towards the performer, but in terms of a story and a character, they didn't really give him a whole lot. So I wasn't huge on him. And then when MVP showed up, I'll be honest with you guys, and you'll probably give me some shit, but maybe we can get on the same page here. The MVP thing, I always like the idea, he's a big free agent, right? That they signed this big free agent. He was coming from the world of like sports or whatever. I love MVP now. MVP now as manager of Hurt Business / Syndicate. I love him. And even when he wrestles, I'm with him. Back then, I was like, I've never heard of who is this guy? And why? I didn't like his outfit. His ring attire was, it was like long sleeves, a long sleeve singlet. Didn't he used to wear like a long sleeve singlet? Oh, I'm going to look this up really quick. Let's see here. MVP 2007. Oops. Let's see what he was wearing back then. Images. Because an MVP WWE in 2007. Yeah, he wore a long sleeve singlet. I hated that look. That was a dude's ring attire. I hated his ring attire so much that I was like, get out of here with that. Rob Zerver says favorite hip hop act of the 90s. He says, I'm quite partial to Diggable Planets. Oh man, I don't know. There's so many to choose from. There's some, I don't know. It's like analysis paralysis. Favorite hip hop act of the 90s. I mean, I don't know. Like, are you distinguishing hip hop from like rap? Are we doing that? Or are we just putting them all into the same thing? Cause it'd be Dr. Dre. It'd be the Dr. Dre Snoop Dogg combo. That's my favorite hip hop act of the 90s. Unsheathed Sword Reviews says, how would you know what bothers me too is that Deep Cover isn't on streaming services. I love that song. It was like Snoop's first, I think it was like his first song that he did with Dr. Dre. And I love that movie, but the song isn't available anywhere on streaming apps. And I think it has to do with like a movie licensing thing. But damn, like Dr. Dre's like a billionaire. Pony up some money. Get the rights to that song back. Put it on the streaming services. At least I haven't checked lately, but I don't think it is. Unsheathed Sword Review says, how would you make war games more interesting? Make it elimination. Pontus Olsen says, who is your guilty pleasure wrestler? Public Enemy and ECW. Word Life Fan says, simple one. Well, by the way, get on YouTube right now and look up Public Enemy versus RVD and Sabu. There's like a grainy ass video of them fighting in like a tables match. It's like a tables match. It's got the wildest fucking finish. The wildest finish. It is like the wonkiest table, like the unsturdiest table spot I've ever seen. Word Life Fan says, simple one. What's been your favorite Cena retirement tour design? Probably either the Laker one or the San Antonio one they just did. No, the British one. British one's number one. Canal Zero says, would you wrestle Larson for charity? No. Moses Opposes says, when you and Larson go into questions, where does do you want to answer some question, Mr. Lee, come from? It comes from JFK. Just watch JFK. It's a great movie. Watch JFK, and when you get to that scene, you will know, and it's hilarious. Falconism says, if Eddie Guerrero was still alive in wrestling, who do you think you would want him to be in a feud with? Oh, Eddie versus Dom. That would feed families. Jared Harris, are you kidding? That would be amazing if Eddie was still around to do some of the Dom stuff. What are some banger entrance music given to jobbers and lower card guys, like Zach Gowen's WWE theme? Zack Ryder's WWE theme. Oh, radio. I like that song. TP21 says, considering Hulk getting a memorial show based on his work in wrestling and despite his issues, do you see Vince getting the same treatment if he passes? All right, man. I know this is heavy stuff, all right, but I'm going to answer the question. I know what Hulk said was horrible, right? Seemed like kind of a piece of trash. Rest in peace, right? Respect to the character, no respect to the dude, but he's dead, no disrespect to the whatever. Vince, if the allegations throughout the decades, and specifically the Janelle Grant lawsuit, that's real gnarly stuff. That's horrific. This guy is going to be burning stuff, right? Like, it's one thing to be a racist like Hogan. It's another thing to have a victim and victims at the level of the allegations of Vince McMahon. So I don't know what they're going to do. They got to do something because he built the company. They got to do something. And you can kind of see, like, in the, the way Triple H has talked about him, the way, Stephanie and her dad, it's complex stuff, right? So, like, they've talked about him, but on the actual show, I don't know. I suspect they will probably just understand that there will be blowback in the short term. They will do a video package. They'll do at least a video package, and then they'll just call it a day on that. Then they'll be like, we kind of don't have to mention this guy anymore. That being said, the vitriol that will be levied against Vince when he passes on the internet is going to eclipse Hogan's, as well it should, based on the allegations. So yeah, I think that he's going to get, I don't know what AEW is going to do, because AEW let Tony Schiavone say stuff on Collision, but in terms of WWE, they're going to do a video package, and they'll understand that, this is going to be kind of controversial. They'll just move on from it, but they'll give them the full thing, I think. Hex and Hammer, but make no mistake, they're two different things. Hex and Hammer says, when will the IWC stop using? They're just waiting until after X to start happening to start new feuds as an excuse. They're not. I don't know what they is. No, I mean, I'm not trying to talk shit about this question, but like, the IWC, I don't know what. It's a mass of people. I have no idea what whim they're gonna go on next, man. Ozempic. Ozempic says, indica or sativa? I don't know what that means, man. What are the replies here? Indica all day. I get terrible sleep. Am I even pronouncing that right? Sativa. I don't know what that means, man. This is a wrestling channel. John says, have you ever thought of a move that you think would be a good wrestling move, but have yet to see it performed? I can't say I do. CT Van says, has having Mercedes hold the TBS title for as long as she... Have you thought of a wrestling move that would be a good idea, but have yet to see it performed? Are you just like conjuring up wrestling moves in your head? By the way, we've been going for 18 minutes. It'd be a good time to pause here for a moment and start hawking some merch. I've got this sketch cover. Nobody's snatched it up yet. It's a drawing I did on the cover of an issue of Walking Dead 150. I'm going to get rid of this thing right here so I can have more screen. And it's available right now at mfshophere.com. I'm going to put up, I have like 20 of these things like done. Not all Walking Dead. I got like some Batman, some Superman. And at mfshophere.com, you can also buy some of my old comic books. I'm working on a new one. I'm going to put some new shit out because I've been hawking the same shit for years and years and years now. But if you've been interested in any of my comic books, what I used to try to do before I was a wrestling guy, you can check this out. And I got some original art. I'm going to start putting some prints up too over at mfshophere.com. And then you can also go to Friendo Shop. A ton of you have bought this shirt. And so I'm going to keep on hawking it until you guys stop. This is available at friendoshop.com. Use code FRIENDO2024 to get 20% off anything in the shop. I'm also going to put this on a basketball jersey. So that's to come as well. So there you go. There's my hawking stuff. Okay, what is this question? CT Van says, has having Mercedes hold the TBS title for as long as it has helped or held down the division? I think whoever beats her is going to be a big, big deal. So I think it helps. Planet Bumble says, who would you say is the best wrestler in the Hollywood scene in terms of acting ability? It's Batista and nobody close. Checkmate, 9 moves. When will Larson bring back interviews of Stone Cold, Triple H, and RFK Jr.? I don't know. It happens on the random. We haven't done it in a little while. I don't know. You know, man, sometimes it's like, hey, I just feel in the mood. I'm going to spice things up and I'm going to have a call in. Maybe I'll get back to it. I sort of go in phases, waves or whatever. Preston Lawrence says most underrated wrestler during the Attitude Era. He says Billy Gunn and Steve Blackman. I love Steve Blackman. I just don't think he had much like of that real camera charisma, you know, but I thought he was a lot of fun. Same with Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn, for some reason, just worked in DX and then like he just never worked solo. In terms of a character and personality stuff, he just was better bouncing off other people. Most underrated wrestler during the Attitude Era. I don't know. It's wild that The Godfather had so many gimmicks before that. He was the fighting machine, and then he was what else was he? He was Kama the fighting machine, and then he was the other guy. He was like the spooky guy, wasn't he? Anyways, most underrated wrestler. Oh, D'Lo Brown. D'Lo Brown was actually a really fun wrestler, and he had tons of personality. I'm going to say him. Mr. CardCon 2 says, with Charlotte and Alexa, also a really nice guy, that D'Lo Brown. He wouldn't remember me for anything, but like I met him a couple times. Such a nice guy. Says, with Charlotte and Alexa being not friends getting over so well, do you think they will scrap any plans for Bliss to join the Wyatt Six? Yep. Brendan Duck says, out of the 3 that Cena shouted out to in his pipe bomb, who would you most like to see back in WWE? Nemeth, Castagnoli, or Cardona? Castagnoli or Cardona? Probably Cardona. CT Van. Oh, I already read one from you, buddy. Legend Killer says, who will win more world titles in WWE between Braun Breaker, Jacob Fatu, Dom Mysterio, Roxanne Perez, Stephanie Vaquer? Probably Braun Breaker. Diabetic Man says, who's your preferred type of wrestling silliness? WCW or TNA? TNA. I feel like TNA has always done it tongue-in-cheek. WCW. Enigma Reed says, what's a celebrity you'd like to see have a wrestling run? LeBron James. All of this heat says, if timelines were aligned and he was in his prime today, do you think Jushin Thunder Liger, I always want to call him Justin Thunder Liger. Hey, there's a wrestler for you, Justin Thunder Liger. Jushin Thunder Liger would have ever signed to AEW or even Triple H's WWE. He would have signed to AEW and then Triple H would have poached him. The Ben Wardy says, if music bands were wrestlers, who would be Soundgarden? Oh, best. Just the best. The Goose Man says, do you think New Japan will ever have another Kenny Okada Naito level star with AEW and WWE around? Nope. I think, well, here's the thing. No, because they'll get poached by the time they get They'll get, but okay. So like if they had a Kenny Omega type guy, by the time 2017 Kenny Omega will have developed in New Japan, he'll have been poached already. So no, I don't. Unless somebody just has a diehard allegiance to New Japan. No. That's not going to happen. Tim Owen says if you and Larson are pro wrestlers in a few, like Yota Tsuji's going to end up going to AEW. By 2030, he's going to end up going to AEW. Tim Owen says if you and Larson are pro wrestlers and in a feud with each other, who's heel and who is face? Oh, it would start out with me being the heel and him being the face, and then we do a double turn. Stropapo says, do you think WWE should stop using War Games matches every year for Survivor Series? I'm kind of torn on it. I'm fine with it, but I do. No, you know what? I wish that they would bring back sort of like a conglomeration, if you will, of all the Survivor Series. So each year you'd have one traditional. Each year you'd have one brand versus brand. Each year you'd have a War Games. Then you make everybody happy or nobody. Shane Canavan says Mount Rushmore of grunge songs, but you can only pick one song per band. All right. I'm not going to do a traditional Mount Rushmore, which is like the best song from every band. But last night I looked at this question. I was looking at some of the questions, and this is what I got. Try to beat this foursome here from each of the bands. Where are my fucking notes app? Notes. Here we go. All right. From Pearl Jam, Animal. I don't know if they have a more intense song than Animal. I love that song so much. Them Bones. That's what you start out with. You start out. Them Bones is going to be like the Washington, because I think that's where you start. And then you got Animal. And then from Nirvana, you got Breed. I love that song, and it's so intense. And then finally, I guess it would be, who's the last guy on the Mount Rushmore? Is it Teddy? I think it's Teddy. Is Teddy the last guy? You got Soundgarden's Drawing Flies. Oh, I love that song. It's so intense. I was going for intensity with my Mount Rushmore. Skylar Wheellock says, have you ever liked or disliked a wrestler for strange reasons? Yeah, I just said MVP. He had long sleeve singlets. No good. SRT Bad Brain says, what recent match or moment from WWE can you see in the future being overhyped and made seem like more important than it actually was? DX invading WCW in their Jeep. Oh man, I don't know. What recent match or moment from WCW being overhyped? I'm like probably that's a big moment. I was gonna say Cody versus Roman. That's like a thing. They sort of do that already. They do that already with the Shield breaking up, but that was actually a big moment. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Rick James says, where's your other Young Buck Funko Pop? That's been a question I've been wondering for a while now. Jesus, you guys are just really paying attention to... Okay. Yeah, okay. So we got Kenny, and we got one of the Bucks. Here's the thing about the Young Buck Funko Pops. They always fall the fuck down. So at a certain point, I was like, Nick Jackson, you keep falling down, man. Like, look, you guys can't see it. Look. He actually stayed up. But that's like wood, so it's uneven. It's like a little bit on the textured side. This is glass right here, so he'll stay up for this. But then I put him up over here, and he just falls down. So that's the deal with that. Let's see here. Alex Agert says, what's your favorite thing about working with Larson? Complete and total trust. Still enjoy, making each other laugh. The shorthand that we have with each other. The fact that we work so well as a unit together. But I think the favorite thing is total and complete trust. Like if I had to choose one thing, it would be, I know this guy will never screw me up. This guy will never lead me wrong. I know that I'm safe, with him, and he, I think, knows that he's safe with me. That's my favorite thing. I never have to worry. I never have to think, is this guy not looking out for me? And I try to reciprocate that with him. Atticus says, what's your favorite color? He says, mine is the glowy blue from a fiber optic lamp. I can't beat that, but I'm going to say purple. Leon Cooper says, Steve, do you think Aleister Black will win a men's Royal Rumble match? Nope. Never. Mr. BRS, when Orange Cassidy and Eddie Kingston return, which title do you want to see them challenge for? Orange Cassidy, Eddie Kingston for the top title. I want to see Eddie Kingston mix it up in that main event scene. Orange Cassidy, I don't know. The Unified, Orange Cassidy is low key just an awesome wrestler. So the Unified title. I already did one for you. RS Labiak says, do you believe the Cody heel turn is coming soon? Nope. They're not going to miss out on that Cody face money. Shafra, NC. What's your favorite so bad it's good wrestling match? Anything Public Enemy in ECW. Turtle 3047 says, what promotion has the best premium live event pay-per-view names? TNA, because they all sound like Steven Seagal movies. LJ Mickey says, what's the best wrestling book you've ever read? Oh, wow. Probably Foley's first one. But, damn, dude. Right now I'm reading Death of the Territories. I've been reading it for years. And it's very dry, but, like, it's really interesting. Because it's just, like, chapter after chapter of Vince and how he, like, basically bought out all the territories. It's really interesting stuff. But the best one is probably Foley's first one. Jason Sear, what's your favorite WrestleJuice video? Oh, I don't know if I have one. I don't know. I mean, I just do I don't know. I don't know if I have one. None comes off the top of my head. Big Guy says, who's the perfect wrestler for Steve to wrestle in his debut? Yeah, honestly, my favorite thing I've ever done here at just solo WrestleJuice would be when I would get on Twitch and watch the old territory wrestling video of episodes with commercials. God damn, those were fun. Or Unsolved Mysteries with the Enforcer. But those aren't WrestleJuice videos. Big Guy says, who's the perfect wrestler for Steve to wrestle in his debut match, alive or dead? Who's the perfect wrestler for Steve to wrestle in his debut match? I want somebody that I know is going to take care of. Oh, screw that. Trip Rogers. That's who would be perfect for me. Y'all, if y'all are in Sacramento, if y'all are in Northern California, you might have come across this piece of shit. But that guy, because he's old like me. And you know what he wears? You know what his outfit is? It's a singlet pants combo. Looks like an idiot. Dr. Howie Feltersnatch says, which two wrestlers would you want to replace themes with each other? Oh, I don't know. The Culling. The Culling and Aleister Black. How about that? I don't know. Jimbo Slice says, should TKO be considered a heel entity within WWE canon? For example, Cena called Punk Mr. TKO as an insult. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Absolutely. Nobody likes corporations. Greater Than Hera says, who could AEW benefit most from joining their roster and why? Cedric Alexander. Because he could join their syndicate. Jake just perusing says, where did the Going in Raw theme come from? Larson made that. And then the one that we use was a remix done by somebody else. And we loved it so much that that's what we used it. That's what we did. Do we think we'll update? Never. That's one thing that's never going to go away. The name of the show might change, but that won't. AJ Otani says, how many face and heel runs is enough as a wrestler? I don't know. It just depends on how long they're around, how long the story, like what did the story do for them? Does it, 2, how about that? Greg Taylor says King Kong Bundy gets a shock 3 count on Hogan in a title match. Out of habit, he asks for a 5 count. Hogan kicks out a 4, comes back to pit. Bro, this math is fucking too much. This is too much. I don't know if King Kong Bundy should have been champion, if that's what you want me to say. Yeah, he should do that. Heel Harrison says, I know what you're talking about. There was like an old story about like a fucking, yeah. Heel Harrison says, what is Steve's favorite match type of all time? Favorite match type of all time would be ECW Public Enemy tables match. Shotgun Sean says, will Star Trek ever top Next Generation or will be forever the peak? Ooh. No, I don't think so. Here's the thing. I don't think it's possible to top that. Back then, they produced episodes relatively cheaply, and so you can get those 26 season episode seasons in. They don't do that anymore. Now it's like 10 to 12 episode seasons, which I understand why they do it, and I don't want them to go back to the 26 episode seasons. It doesn't make any sense. but I understand. I'd rather get like a 10 episode length mini movie, or not mini movie, like a 10 episode basically movie type season than what they used to do. But like nothing beats that, like getting 26 episodes in a season to like develop your characters and your chemistry. So I think because of that, that's always going to be peak. D4 Dave 669 says, do you think WWE's counter programming idea will work or continue to make them look bad and have lower view counts? I think the only thing it hurts is NXT. And it's going to continue to hurt NXT because they're not going to stop doing it. Preston Lawrence says, how do you feel about Finn Balor returning to New Japan to be the overseer of Bullet Club War Dogs? Why would he do that when he can stay in WWE? Clean Hands says, predicting WrestleMania 42's night 1 and 2 main events. 42. Night 2 is going to be Cody versus CM Punk. Night 1 is going to be, if it was me, night 1 would be Bianca Rhea. Mason Recuity says, how do you personally feel about Triple H's booking? It could use more variety, but it's not bad. I think it's not bad, but it could use more variety. DBCFYM says, who's put on a better product so far in 2025, WWE or AEW? That depends on what you like. If you like really awesome wrestling, it's AEW. If you like soap opera type, drama shit like that, then it's WWE. HMB says, why do they keep including Ring of Honor championships in AEW programming? Because it's part of their umbrella. Ashley Parker says, what number one contender should have won the title that never got a chance to? He says, or they say, Brooklyn Brawler should have won one from a cocky heel for the laughs. Oh, wow. What number one contender should have won the title that never got a chance to? China. Oh, my God. China was the number one contender, and they took it away from her. That's gross. China should have won the world title. China definitely should have won the world title. Cameron Kirkpatrick says, what was the first NXT show you watched? It might have been the Sami Zayn. It might have been the Sami Zayn Shinsuke one, or it was the Sami Zayn winning the title and getting killed by Kevin Owens one. I think it was that one. Sir Jeebus says, what time is it? 12:41 p.m. Legal Forearm Shot says, what's your favorite fish to eat? Okay. I'm going to give you two answers here. Number one is like trying to be more healthy, Steve. All right. Drinking a lot of water. And it's salmon. Salmon, put a little bit of pesto on there, and then I'm good. That being said, I'm kind of tired of it because it's like my go-to. So I'm fucking sick of salmon. My answer, if it's my favorite, and I'm being real with you, it's some of that fucking, like the fish and chips that they got in like if I ever visit, like the UK, like that fried ass shit with some French fries on the side, some chips on the side. It's fish and chips. And then if I'm really going to be a piece of shit scumbag, it's that Filet-O-Fish from McDonald's. Goddamn. And then your body just feels like absolute garbage afterwards. But going down, god damn it tastes so good. It's probably not even any real fish in there. Or it's like scumbag fish of some sort. But yeah, the fish and chips, that's peak right there, man. Oh, you want some fish and chips? Robbie says, true or false, The Rock versus Triple H Intercontinental Championship ladder match from SummerSlam is a low-key banger. Low-key? Ain't nothing low-key about that match. It is a banger. Everybody should know that. YS Online, how would you book Rollins cash-in? Steal this idea from Larson. He wheels down at the end of SummerSlam, and his leg is there, but he's there. He's like, oh, I got the briefcase. But then he takes the Kevin Nash fake leg out, and then he cashes in. Wins the title. T-Lo Brown says, is there a band you're surprised never got involved with wrestling in any way? No. X Blake says, do you think Karrion will return to being Killer Cross or no? Probably not. He's already built up that brand. Although if he's out of WWE, he will. He'll be a great MLW champion. Shane Six says, fire wings or Wingstop? I'm not a wings guy. Corbin Kepner says, do you think Travis Scott was actually not committed, or did the hundreds of death threats scare him off and WWE's just passing the buck as usual? No. If he had an actual reason, if he was like, hey, thanks, but no thanks. I don't like the response that I'm getting. Thank you for the opportunity, but I'm getting a bunch of death threats, then they wouldn't be teeing off on him. I think that he probably actually just wasn't committed to it. They should have known that ahead of time. You shouldn't be booking people as a favor to other people. Flair versus Reigns says, what name would you give Seth's faction? I don't know, but none of the ideas that have been thrown out there are any good. I think Seth Riders is good. Zondo says, I think AEW having the contract on a clipboard is so lame as a Money in the Bank stand-in. What do you think they should have instead? Bring back the giant poker chip or the gold donut? Neither of those. I hated those. I'd rather have the clipboard. That being said, any opportunity for something clever I think is good. I would, dude, the Casino Gauntlet, they already have a ring. They got the Dynamite Diamond ring. They don't need another title, so I wouldn't say that. I agree with you that the clipboard isn't great, though. I would, oh man, top of my head. How about this? It'd be a protein bar. It'd be a specially branded protein bar, and then you have to eat it. You go out there and to really commit, you got to eat the whole thing. And once it's done, once you've gobbled it down, and then you've taken a sip of water, then you can cash in. You're done. Like, that's it. Match starts. Subledu says, what are your thoughts on Weezer? I like them. I don't love them, but I like them. High Altitude Weather Enthusiast says, who's the best WCW/WWE jobber of all time? Probably the Brooklyn Brawler, Norman Smiley. Blub Wolf says, who will win a world title first, Dom or Logan? Dom. Levy JX says, who on the current roster do you see being a WWE lifer? Seth Rollins, Trophy Hunter, and Braun Breaker. Favorite wrestling video game? WCW versus NWO World Tour. Cyclone Jesus says, what match between two jobbers can WWE predetermine to be a 5-star match? What? Two jobbers can WWE I don't know, like, who's a jobber anymore in WWE? They're all depth guys. Pepsi Dude says, which wrestlers eventually won you over? MVP. I already read one of yours. Grabsack says, Hogan weirdly passing away on the anniversary of his infamous rant. Do you think what got him was black magic? I don't really believe in that, but it is a wild coincidence. HHS bass drummer says, what are your thoughts on Danielson's comments about being the main event of WrestleMania meaning nothing to him? He has valid reasons. Let's see here. Burgers or hot dogs? Burgers. Meowing 554 says, what do you think of the new South Park episode? That was fucking hilarious. I was shocked. It's rare for me to get shocked anymore. That was wildly hilarious. Did I already do a bubbly one? I don't remember. Does a great ass get over a bad talent? No. Are you talking about Billy Gunn? I think you're talking about Billy Gunn. No, man. Kinda Grump says, what would wrestling look like if Hogan never became the Golden Boy? I don't know. That's such a wild what if. I think it still gets by because I think there were other people. Savage wasn't too far away, and I think Savage could have been that guy. Brimmer Mike says, do you think he's on it? And yes, that's who I'm talking about. Yeah, he's on it. They're going to try to act like he's not, but he is. And until we see the whole thing, no, he's clearly on it. And we've known this since like 2015. We've known this for ages. He is that. He's the thing that they're saying. He's that. Yeah. So that should have ended a long time ago. Alexander Ball says, why does the term television champion work while internet or streaming champion sounds so lame? Because it's the nostalgia thing. Because television's old and retro and kind of cool. That's why I do the thing here. I want to say, okay, well, I don't know where she is. My child is texting me right now. Dire Homer says, is there such thing as a Triple H guy? Look at all the people from NXT Black and Gold not doing anything. Is there such? Not anymore. There's not a thing. I mean, look, yeah, there's a thing. There's such a thing as a Triple H guy. We know who aren't Triple H people, like Ron Killings. They were going to let his contract expire. And then they turned him into a Triple H type guy, just like angry dude. J92DS says, if you weren't covering wrestling, would you watch as much as you do? No. Jared Smith says, do you think Austin Hogan would have been as iconic as Rock Hogan? Oh, that's a big what if. Yeah, I do. I think it would have been up there. B-Man the Champ says, what do you think about... I think it would have been more iconic. I think it would have been bigger. What do you think about this for the eventual Dominic Mysterio face turn? Dom gets beaten up by Liv and Raquel. Rhea makes a save, hugs Dom like Miss Elizabeth and Randy Savage. I don't like it. It makes Rhea look weak. Validation Boy says, who are the most overrated females in WWE? Why are they Io Sky and Rhea Ripley? Hard disagree on that one. That's not even a question. I might chop that one out, but I'm not going to because I promised I'd read everything except for double questions. Anyways, that last guy doesn't know what he's talking about. That's going to do it for this edition. I read everything, and it took me, if I'm not mistaken, about 43 minutes and 19 seconds. I might have to check. It'll be different on the actual time code, but that's what I've got right here on the whole filmy thing. That's going to do it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate it. I might have actually had to stop the file, so it's going to be more. It might be actually like 50 minutes. I don't know what it's going to be. My guess is going to be 50 minutes and 13 seconds. That's my guess. I wonder how far I'm off. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the notify bell. Buy my shit. mfshophere.com. We'll see you guys around.